have to find ways of letting go of these subconscious beliefs that are now inhibiting you as an adult.
But there has to be an awareness, doesn't there, that you need to let go. And
Yes.
most people, I would say, business leaders, well, maybe not fair to say most people, but a lot of business leaders, they're, from what you say, they're pretty much stuck at level 2 or level 3.
Well, yeah, they're not obviously sometimes not very good at level two, but they're stuck really at. Well, actually, you're right. They're
It's
stuck at
very
all three
ego driven.
levels.
A lot of it's
Yeah,
very ego
yeah.
driven.
There's a lot of status driven about self-esteem, and there's a lot of I don't have enough. I mean, Enron was a fantastic example of the leaders of Enron. You know, I don't have enough. Enough was never enough, and so we're going to break all the rules, and we don't care because enough is never enough. And so, um, so what happens is this very interesting because so we're up to level three. We're getting to level four, which is transformation, which
Right.
is an understanding that who I am as a leader actually impacts the organizational culture because the culture of an organization is a reflection of the leader's consciousness and the leadership team's consciousness. And so when the business isn't doing very well and continues not to do very well, you can trace it back to the leader and the bureaucratic way of being, the hierarchical way of being, micromanagement, all of this impacts employees and they don't really want to be there. And so what happens next is that when you get to that transformation level, you begin to realize that who you are in the world is actually impacting your experience of the world. And these subconscious fear-based beliefs are actually inhibiting you from becoming all you can become.
Yeah, so when you're leading a business, a CEO, an MD, or whatever, it means that really your consciousness is dictating how the business is run and where
Yeah.
the business is going.
Absolutely is dictating. And it's what happens in the culture of the organization is a reflection of direct reflection of who you are and how you're showing up and which levels of consciousness you've mastered and where you're stuck.
And how many business leaders do you think are aware of this?
Very few.
But this is fundamental, isn't it?
Absolutely. So we're talking about the model, but actually, we developed tools from this model to actually measure this, not just these first three levels and the transformation level, but the upper levels of
So
finding meaning. Level five, that's
5 is
internal
internal,
cohesion.
yes, yeah.
Level six, making a difference in the world, and level seven, service. So we're able to measure consciousness by mapping values of individuals and of organizations. So when we do that and feed those results back, the leader begins to realize that the culture is a reflection of his or her own consciousness.
So you actually go into your team, they go into a business, you talk to different people there from the top down to the bottom, presumably. You get the feedback, and then you're able to construct a map of.
Actually, it's even more simple than that because doing it that way, there's a chance that we could influence the outcome through our own consciousness. So actually, we don't do that. We just ask three questions, and all employees go online and answer these three questions. And the first question is, which of the following values behaviors most represent who you are as a person?
Okay.
And you pick 10 values from a customized list. And then about 80 words. And then the next question is, which of the following values behaviors most represent how your organization operates? Again, you pick 10 words from a list of about 80 or 90, which have been customized for the organization. And the third question is, which of the following value behaviors most represent a high performance organization or how you would like your organization to be? So we collect all of this data. Now, in the question about in all of the questions actually, but particularly in the current culture question, how is your organization operating? There are positive words and potentially limiting words like bureaucracy, hierarchy, internal competition, blame, manipulation, as well as positive words. And so what we're able to do is to find out the proportion of votes from employees for these positive words and these potentially limiting words. And the proportion of votes for these potentially limiting words we call cultural entropy. It's the degree of dysfunction in the system. It's energy which isn't available for useful work because it takes a lot of energy to do bureaucracy and internal competition and blame.
Yeah.
And so this measure of cultural entropy enables us then to say, aha, you're a high entropy organization. Look at the leaders. We can do a similar an assessment where the leader goes online and picks 10 values about how he or she thinks they operate. And then she asks 15 people to pick 10 values about how he or she operates also. And we map. And if they're picking limiting values again, here we measure personal entropy. And what we found, of course, is that leaders with high personal entropy create cultures with high cultural entropy. And leaders with low personal entropy create cultures with low cultural entropy. And we've also found there's a direct correlation between entropy and performance and staff engagement. So high entropy, a lot of dysfunction, low staff engagement, low performance.
And
And the
how
converse is true.
and how open do you find the bosses, the leaders of business, when this survey, as investigation's been done?
Well,
Because
this varies.
could be a shock for them,
It,
couldn't it?
it is, often it varies, There are some leaders who think this would be great to be able to have this measure because it's a really unique measure. And by doing this every year, we can really change our organization. But sometimes when they get the feedback and they see the high level of entropy and they begin to realize it's about them and their leadership team, they begin to get cold feet. And that happens. But for the leaders who say, okay, this is just feedback and we can do something with this data, then what we see is amazing transformation year after they measure year after year. And as they do, the values change. We see the current culture, top 10 values, moving up the evolution of the 7 levels of consciousness. And it becomes an amazing pathway to progress.